West Coast vibes from a California merger to a big time international test between two cross border rivals that happened last week in Western Canada. Friend of the show and longtime MLR vet Andrew Coe joins us to react to it all. We also talk about the crazy offseason that has gone down so far, plus an MLR draft. The Fantasy Ruckers show starts right now.
Where rugby and the world of fantasy sports collide. Welcome to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, talking all things rugby from the MLR to leagues around the world. We're on top of it. Headphones on, pads off. This is the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Now, here are your hosts, Ryan Yee, Matt Yee, and Devin Vanderpool.
What's up, everybody? This is episode 166 of the Fantasy Ruckers Show. Thank you so much to our Fantasy Ruckers League members, our community members, and everyone else tagging along on this journey of making fantasy rugby a reality in MLR. And in this episode 166, we got a good one for you guys. Matt Yee, Ryan Yee here with you on this one. We will be shortly joined by friend of the show, RFCLA player in 2025, Andrew Coe, to, of course, reveal his fantasy stats to him, as we do each and every year, and, of course, break down everything that has gone on this past offseason, including also a reflection of what happened in 2025. And if there's a guy, Matty, that doesn't know that any better, is the guy who was on the New York Ironworkers, had to find new work once that team folded, and, of course, now finds him amidst a merger of the RFCLA squad and San Diego Legion, who are now being deemed the California Legion. So thought it was a great time to bring on friend Andrew Coe. Matty, what's up, dude?
Yeah, not much, man. It's too bad Vandy couldn't be here for the interview, but it is what it is, man. I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to hear what he has to say. It's always nice having Cole on.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, it also coincides with a great time. I want to bring out the violins for our American rugby listeners. I did decide to don the red and white on this particular episode, but talk about a big time win for Rugby Canada fans out there in the PNC, which is going down right now, a step closer to Canada qualifying for a possible World Cup. US having to do a little bit of work here, but we'll talk about that in a little bit here with Co, and also in our news dump coming up. But again, a full slate of a full packed episode for you, interview, and a whole bunch more coming up. And we continue to trudge through this offseason and react to everything that has been going down. Maddie, before we get into it, anything that you have come up with since the last time we spoke last episode?
Nothing, no innovative ideas as of right now. We're still on the same thing. Just
where's the mindset at? You've been preaching the mindset for MLR fans here with everything that's been going down.
We're still keeping the bar low. We're still avoiding being disappointed. And I'm still good. I think we're still good. I think draft night production.
Yes. Was not at a steakhouse. Not at a steakhouse,
but they had their own other issues and they were burning some meat there. So yeah, we can go through that in the news dump when we start talking about the draft. But no, expectations still low, bar still being met. MLR, you're doing great. Keep on keeping on.
Nice. All right. Well, this comes after, obviously, a Miami Sharks announcement that we are going to react to, that draft that happened, and, of course, plus much more. Before we get into all of that, though, if you aren't already, follow us at the Fantasy Ruckers. Link handles up above. If you're watching on the YouTube video, link down below in the description. If you're listening on the pod, great content coming out all off season long when it comes to player interviews. Obviously, we had Callum Botcher on not too long ago. We had Andrew Quattrin, New England Free Jacks' championship-winning hooker, on not too long ago. Botcher was great when he reacted to obviously being affected by this NOLA Gold news. And of course, we have Andrew Coe today. These interviews will continue to go on and on and on. That content can be found on all of our social handles. Of course, here on our YouTube page, which you should like, subscribe, and hit that bell to be notified when those episodes do drop each and every week. And of course, join our Discord community. Link down below to do that is there. Great community over there. We have a Fantasy Ruckers Fantasy Football League that is starting up here that we've been communicating through there that you can be a part of. And also, I'll give a shout out. Check out thefantasyruckers.com for all of your fantasy needs. The official platform, Fantasy MLR platform for us here on the Fantasy Ruckers show. All right, let's get right into it.
News dump.
All right, it's time for our TFR news dump. Let's get the big stuff out of the way. Obviously, since the last recording of the show, we did react to the rumor mill that is the departure of the Miami Sharks. It was at the time not confirmed that it was going to happen. It was pretty confirmed, but we do have official notice now from the Miami Sharks that they will not be participating in the 2026 season. Now, according to their social pages, their official announcement says, quote, after much reflection, we've made the difficult decision not to participate in MLR in 2026. To our sponsors and partners, thank you for believing in us and walking this journey by our side. To our fans, your passion and support have meant everything. Being part of this community has been an honor, and the Sharks family will forever cherish the moments we share together. 2026 will be a year of reassessment and exploration of new opportunities. Whatever the future holds, we will always carry the pride of being part of this incredible community. Signed off by the Miami Sharks. We've obviously reacted a lot to it last episode, so I will tell people to go to that. The sentiment really doesn't change for us with the announcement. It was kind of writing on the wall, but I will just ask you, Maddie, is there anything that changes with this announcement or any other insight you'd like to add in terms of now Miami officially coming out and saying this?
Changes absolutely everything, except it means absolutely nothing. Yeah, thanks Miami for putting it on Twitter or Instagram, whatever social media they did. You've confirmed our already confirmed confirmation. And now we can move freely with my life knowing that it has been confirmed by the team.
Still no announcement from the league as of yet for both NOLA and Miami.
I think they just assumed. I think they just assumed that since they're not in the draft, you can just assume that they're not there. That's their announcement.
Well, what a great segue. We kind of talked about that last episode, Maddie, where we're like, okay, we're going to find a lot about the draft. And maybe Miami doesn't come out with an announcement beforehand. They did, in fact, come out with the announcement beforehand.
They probably got forced.
Either way, we got the draft order, and we're like, okay, the NOLA's not there. RFCLA is not there. Obviously, the league confirmed that, but then obviously Miami Sharks aren't there either.
Hey, can we take in a quick while we're talking about the teams that are folding and merging, whatever the heck's happening in this league? Let's just take a quick second. They took the San Diego logo, and they just put CA. Is that what? I don't know. How did I miss this before? They just threw that together, but they just go back to their old saved logo files in Microsoft Paint and say, "Yep, let's change the SD with CA. That'll work."
Would you have done differently?
They could have gone anywhere. They could have done absolutely
anything. They are
anything.
still called the California Legion, and I think based on your old,
they didn't want to do the old rebranding. They saw what California or LA went through.
Yeah,
they saw the
comments actually deterred them from changing into the California Bell Ends.
You know what? They saw what happened with the New York Ironworkers, RFC, Rugby Club, Brooklyn Bridgers, and now they saw what happened with LARFC, and so now they're saying, "Yep, this is we're not even gonna waste time on this."
I want you to come up with a name with all the teams, with them not actually using their name. That's your next project. New York Ironworkers equals Brooklyn Bridgers. That's good. Yep. It is funny that it took you this long to realize that because out of all the people that would have issue with that, it would be you. But yeah, that is exactly what they did. Either way, they did announce the draft order. What was it? Kind of like a little bit before the draft with the rules that were happening.
Day before, they let us know that Anthem somehow got the first 2 picks of the draft. I don't know how that works.
And then they kind of finagled with the departure of the teams with trades that happened. They kind of gave certain teams extra picks because there was an extra pick in round 1. They also only broadcasted round 1 on ESPNU, and then people were left wondering what the heck is happening in round 2 and round 3. Fair enough.
Naturally, they couldn't get the Twitter, so they just got. They couldn't get the steakhouse, so they just got Twitter.
There was a blank spot in terms of I think MLR just stopped posting about on what.
Yeah, I think they were pretty delayed in posting the second round. They were trying to.
So either way, we do have the full list of players that were selected here.
We should name them.
MLR draft.
But I don't know who the heck they are.
We are hoping to have maybe a better expert than us on this show to maybe break down some of these prospects. But first overall, William Sherman. I did see highlight videos of this guy, lock from UCLA. He looked pretty dynamic and pretty electric.
Okay, number one pick. We don't want to ruin his career that fast.
No Fantasy Ruckers careers. Can't do that to a rookie. But I mentioned UCLA because UCLA is the first school to have multiple first round picks, or first overall picks, I should say, in MLR drafts. The other being Eric Naposki on a few years back, being selected as the first overall pick in 2021 to the Dallas Jackals. So again, the first school to have multiple first overall picks here in the MLR drafts. Will Sherman joining Naposki in this one here. But then you go down the list, you have in the, I believe, second overall pick. Who
Campbell Robb.
Third
Central
overall
Washington.
pick. My favorite, I think, was the... You say the name, Maddie. You're better.
Tiai Vavao? I think that's it.
Tiai Vavao. There you go.
Yeah,
the reason why I want to bring him up to Seattle in the third round pick, his family, I think, he posted the video of his reaction to being drafted third overall and reacting to the announcement on the live draft show. And it was pretty electric. Like you see it here. Maddie's watching it.
Yeah.
Pretty fun. Draft parties. Basically the NFL now.
All right. I mean, I'm very, good for him. Actually, I'm not even going to, good for him. Good for his family. That's awesome. And going professional in anything is always something to be excited about, especially when it comes to sport and you get to be part of that 1% that make it. One guy I will shout out is, the lone Canadian, I think, that got drafted in the first round, Jacob Ince from the University of Guelph, a center. I played with his brother, I believe, Josh Ince, an absolute maniac. So I'm only expecting the same from his brother. So yeah, I'm looking out for him and hoping that he gets some time with Utah this upcoming year.
First overall pick?
7th overall pick.
No, I'm saying first overall pick for fantasy.
Oh, no, we can't ruin it like that.
And Vandy would be pumped. It's to his Utah Warriors. So yeah. Canadian going to the Utah Warriors. Pretty pumped. All right. Any final notes on the draft, Maddie?
No. I'm going to keep those. I'm going to keep those to myself, I think.
All right. Let's talk about quickly here, because we're going to obviously talk in further length with Andrew Coe about this, but big time game in PNC. Canada, USA, meeting up on Friday. A lot of anticipation ahead of this one.
Friday Night Lights, baby. We did it in your own football thing.
Your own day. The Friday
your own day of the week.
Canada beats USA 34-20 in the Pacific Nations Cup. A huge one for Canada, who's been kind of on the lull in terms of what is going to happen here with Rugby Canada's future, in terms of what trajectory they're going on. Talk about injecting a whole bunch of optimism in this with this big time 14-point victory over the US, large in part due to Tyler Ardron, Canadian legend, scoring 4 tries in this one to basically book the victory himself.
Yeah. Proud day, proud kind of time to be a Canadian rugby fan. Both that, and again, we'll talk with Coe later a bit more, but also the women's rugby team being a favorite to win the World Cup for the women's side. So love to see that. Love to see Canada. And Ryan, what are the implications here for the World Cup, the 2027 World Cup?
I believe, according to Brian Ray, if Canada is able to secure a 4-try bonus point, against what's the team here? To Japan, a 4-try bonus point, or lose by less than 7, they will guarantee their ticket to Australia.
There we go.
So
love to see that.
Big step up there with that. Shifting on to the women's side, Maddie, you mentioned obviously Canada is vying for a possible hardware appearance in that one, with being right up there with England. England was in appearance and did display in dominant fashion a big time victory over England, or over the US. Maddie, I think the clip will play over and over and over again. I'm going to save you the embarrassment. And I actually am putting on hold the TFR betting challenge on this episode because I think we need to take a break in terms of.
No, Ryan, we got to bring it in. We got big rugby championship games to look at.
Okay. I'll make a producer decision on the spot here. I'll maybe give you the microphone back.
We need to.
Tough,
I've watched the rugby championship game. To be fair, can we just run can we just
69-7?
It was 14-7, 30 minutes in. All right. I felt good about that at that moment in time. And I've honestly, look, for anybody who maybe listened to I'm not even going to say advice, my thoughts on the spread. I would like to let you know, I apologize. Not really, but I have never seen a spread that large and I got excited.
I guess we'll leave it at that. Never seen anything that big, huh, Maddie? And it got you excited.
Just
we'll leave it.
It was too big for me to not take it.
What was also very big, though, was what USA has to be proud of is that they were a part of a game that set a record 42,723 people.
That's a lot of people to watch you
crowd
get
for a women's rugby World Cup game. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. That is something that's there. All right. Yeah. Any more news, Matt, that you want to touch on here?
Nope. I'm gonna throw a shout out to Jed Melvin for getting man of the match voted by the fans in back-to-back weeks for North Harbor. So whatever form he was in for the Free Jacks, he is continuing that for the Bunnies Cup, and that is great to see. If he's back for the New England Free Jacks next year.
I will give a quick shout out to then Argentina with the big time upset win over the All Blacks there the past weekend as well.
Yep.
Because that was very big time too. All right, Maddie, I'm saving you the grace here. Not going to have a Supreme Commissioner Yee's update. The commissioner's busy. Yes. We've got fantasy football going on here. So let's get right to it. No time to waste. Time to bring on friend of the show in episode 166, Fantasy Ruckers show, SinBinterview.
SinBinterview.
And we are pleased to be joined with longtime friend of the show, a guy we've been waiting quite a bit of time here to get on this show and talk with this offseason. But without further ado, Andrew Coe, friend of the show, man.
What's going on?
Thanks for dropping in. I feel like kind of talked off air here about how we go through our weekly round or yearly rounds, and this is our yearly catch up. We get the pleasure of taking 30 minutes of your time to kind of chat with you, man. How have you been?
Yeah, been good. I was just thinking it's been a while since we chatted. So we were talking before the show about how Fantasy Ruckers is going, and it seems to be going well. And yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not going too bad. Not going too bad. So obviously, of course, that's the only reason why you hop on this show, right, man? Like you are dying to hear about your fantasy numbers because I know you are a fantasy guy at heart. So we'll make sure to reveal those to you as well. But obviously, a crazy off season has happened. We haven't talked to you since the last season has happened. I think I was looking through. I think the last time we spoke with you was you were making, playoff predictions last year. So it's been a while.
Do you have those? Do you have those playoff predictions?
I remember you being pretty wrong.
I remember being pretty wrong as well. I think.
Yeah, I think
Nola all the way up there making a.
Don't. You're not the only one. There's a guy on our show that has been a big Nola guy since day one, too. So either way. But yeah, no. I mean, we had our prediction ranking show last episode where me and Maddie make our predictions of our top 5 heading into each year. So our top 5 players at each position. And every single year, we continue to disappoint people because we come out so confident with our top 5. We're like, okay, I had you in my top 5. It's alluding to that. We'll see whether or not you made that come true. But there was definitely some differences there to how the year finished versus what we guessed to start 2025.
Yeah.
That's just what happens. That's the MLR.
That's all fantasy though. You think I had CFC on my football team last year, did horribly.
Yeah. We had it in our Fantasy Ruckers League, which is coming up here in just a bit. We had CMC last year. Us boys made a collective decision to select him 101, which I'm sure you did too.
Yeah.
And proved to be a pretty tough decision there. But that's fantasy for you. That kind of alludes to the Fantasy Ruckers curse that we have going on our show. So you've heard, of course, of the Madden curse, right, Coe?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think dating back to when we first started doing this. So I think we've been doing this, Maddie,
It was
for
the
what,
second year of this. The
4 years?
second year of this is when it started.
Yeah. We got the first year. So Bodine Waka, I think way back in the day was the first overall pick. That was fine. But ever since then, anyone who has been drafted first overall by the Fantasy Ruckers, like consensusly by fantasy leagues, who's been the consensus 101,
Hmm.
has not only not lived up to expectation, but has fallen off a cliff when it comes to performance, which is
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
we've joked on the show. We're like, yeah, you don't want to be picking
No.
or getting picked 101. I think
Who was
it
101 this
was
past year?
this past year
Kunitani.
was Semi Kunatani
Uh,
or Jason Putros.
yeah,
So the hype coming in from last year with what Kunatani, and you know him best, obviously
yeah,
playing with
yeah.
him, what he did last year was incredible. So obviously the hype train was in that, and then Potros getting injured, that was another thing there. But both of those guys, the year before that, it was Joe Mano, and he
Yeah, but
obviously
he
had a
got
good
hurt.
year this year, but the
Yeah,
year
this
before
year he was
that didn't
sick.
do too
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
And the list goes
There's
on and
Ed
on and
Fido the
on.
year before that.
right,
And
So
Ed Fido had a tough year that year.
right.
So
the general rule has been you don't want to get selected first. So that has been something that we've unfortunately created here on the Fantasy Rucker Show. With that being said, though, Ko, why don't we hop in first and talk a little bit about this past year? I know we're a few months removed from the end of the season, but I think in large part before we get into everything that went down this off season so far, it was a pretty exciting year. I think for us, at least as fans and spectators, 2025 was electric in terms of the parity across the league. We had good matches, it seemed like every weekend. You really couldn't predict who was going to win. Like it really felt like any given team could win on any given weekend.
Mhm.
And obviously you guys were a part of that. But just take me through what this past season was like for you. You've been a longtime vet of this league, starting off obviously with the Iron Workers and then moving out to RFCLA. What was this? Where do you slot this in kind of your career in the MLR?
Yeah, I mean, every year it gets better and better. It's really crazy. It's this you mentioned it parity wise. This year has been the best it's ever been. Anyone could have won on any given day. In the West, especially, it was
yeah.
so tight. Like San Diego didn't make it, but they were 5-0 to start the league. Like we thought they were the team to beat, and then they fell off and didn't make playoffs, unfortunately. But the league gets better year in and year out. Players come in and just elevate it, and it's a fun league to be a part of. Sometimes it's a bit of a nightmare, but that's the way it goes.
And obviously this year, Los Angeles, you guys had some pretty sick acquisitions. I mean, you
Mhm.
came into the season with some pretty fun players to play with. Like obviously Gonzalo Bertranu
Hmm.
was electric on the field, the consensus best nine, I think, in all of MLR. You get to play with Christian Leolifano, all these guys that just have so much experience. For you, that must have been pretty surreal, huh?
Yeah, it was awesome. I think all the guys they brought in were great rugby players, and we played such a fun style of rugby as well. Like that's what we really tried to do is bring fans into the game, try and play a style of rugby that's exciting because I think that's how you build the sport in the US and in Canada is if people come and it's a fun, exciting game of rugby to watch, they'll come back for more. No offense, I'm sure I'm going to get hate from a lot of front row. No one wants to see scrum over and over again. No one wants to see you box kick the ball over and over again. It's boring. It's I've been a part of teams that do that, and I bore myself to death on the field when I'm playing it. I couldn't imagine, trying to watch it. So we really tried to, play really fast, play exciting brand of rugby, um, which is so much fun to be a part of. You feel like the rain, like you could just do whatever you want, and there was, not no repercussions, but you play like backyard footy, like
Yep.
we did when we were younger, right?
Yeah. 100%. And I mean, I also feel like you guys had one of the most athletic back row rooms.
Yeah,
in the league. Just like you look at guys like Ben Houston and Ed Timpson and the way that they played,
yeah,
it
exactly.
was such an epitome of like, we're gonna let the boys, we're gonna let the big boys run and
Yeah,
just give them space to go. It
yeah,
was awesome.
exactly. It was
The
fun.
favorite
It was so much fun to play, and then playing that style of footy, I couldn't imagine playing any other style. I'd rather go down swinging, playing like that, and lose than play a brand that I don't like and win.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, last year, if I remember us getting into playoff predictions, you had some comments about the way the Houston style of play was.
Hmm.
Uh, how they're exactly what you're saying, is that box kicking, the counter attack type play, the very slow, hard running type play, and you end up playing them in the playoffs this
Yeah.
year, and it's a close one. Walk us through that. I mean, it was a close game. I didn't expect it to be as close as it did just because of how good Houston was looking.
Yeah.
But you guys genuinely, I think it was like you guys were so close to just essentially making an upset and making it to a semifinal or to a final.
Yeah, I'll give credit where credit's due. Houston in previous years has just been
Yeah,
crash ball after crash ball, but I think they got a new attack coach in there and they were
yeah, I
actually
agree.
like playing rugby, It wasn't
Yeah,
just meathead rugby. It was, they were skillful and they were kicking tactically. They were getting
mm,
the balls out to the wing. Like they were really up their game. And I think that's why they've done so much better as well.
yeah.
So yeah, that playoff game was tough because I until the last minute, I genuinely thought we were going to score right on that. I think we were like 83 minutes in and we would have won the game, but that was a tough one. It crossed my mind that that game wasn't even going to be played as well because there were the conditions. They had to
Right.
postponed it the next day. Then they postponed it an hour after that, and it was just pissing rain, and then there was lightning. It was a bit of a
Yeah.
nightmare, but
Which which for us we thought like it would play into Houston's hands. Like that's why we were looking at that. We're like, yeah, Houston, everything's playing into their favor. But I mean, you guys you guys showed up. You guys showed up for sure and definitely could have won that one.
yeah, yeah, that was a tough one. That was definitely a tough one. It's tough because we try and speed the game up so much, and that's how we like a lot of our games we won in the last sort of 10-15 minutes because we're trying to speed it up and bring
Yeah.
fatigue into the game. We really want it to be a fast, um, fit team. But, the issue with our style of play is it really depends on refereeing and refereeing something in the league that you don't know what you're going to get week in and week out. So, if the ref wants to try and slow the game down and have a bunch of stoppages, then that's not great for us.
I guess that was the follow-up was I guess you explained that style that RFCLA tried to play with. Can you for I guess people who are maybe a little bit more, not as, in depth into the game and understand kind of maybe the tactical portion of it, but when it comes to playing that style, is it in a nutshell a really high risk, high reward type style of play? Because I think that's how a lot of people maybe characterize RFCLA was that it felt like at times like you guys could pop off and score 40 points,
Number of
but
times you guys ran out of your 22.
there are also opportunities where, you guys let up maybe a try that maybe shouldn't have, you know what I mean? Or there's a mistake that happens, maybe caused by your fast play that goes the other way. So can you explain that kind of style of it? And is it really accurately depicted like that, that if you can play the right way, it can be effective, but it's also very risky to play that way?
Yeah, it is quite risky, but it's a very calculated risk. I mean, if that's where we were fortunate to have all the experience
Mm,
from Gonzo and from Christian Delifano because they were running the show, so they knew when we play fast and when we slow it down and kick the ball out or play a bit more tactically. But I think momentum is such a big thing in any sport. And if you can keep momentum on top and you know that when you're in a game and the momentum's going your way and you get all excited and everyone's
yeah.
like, oh, the crowd's into it. Everyone's like, you just
Yeah.
really feel this atmosphere. That's that's where we kind of try and thrive in that and try and keep that for as long as possible, because that's how you break teams down. Because, if you get a big penalty, that's great. Then you kick out of bounds, and then it's a minute to get the line out call. Then you walk up, and then you get the line out. Then you probably maul, and then you maul, and you box. Like there's not that feeling. So if we kind try and have that momentum for as long as possible, it seems chaotic, but there is method to the madness, and we do know, um, kind of when to really turn it on and when to, all right, we need to be a bit more responsible here.
Yeah. And I feel like Bertranu was like the almost like you see him play internationally and around the world, and it's like he was the perfect guy to lead that offense in a way, like from the 9 position. Like he knew exactly, all right, we're gonna take a quick tap here, and he knew when to take his chances, and he knew exactly kind of when, all right, like it's time to slow it down. But
Coe, you know us as former nines. Like we love when we see like every time Bertranu like picked up the ball, as soon as a penalty was called, and he was like right there where the mark was, waiting
Yeah.
to go. Like that, we love to see that. Obviously, as former nines who probably did that one too many times ourselves when we played, but to see a guy kind of put that into action and be much more successful at it than we were, is cool to see.
Yeah, yeah, it is risky, but it's so much fun to play in. It's like it's how I think the game should be played. Like it's so entertaining, it's so much fun. It's like it's awesome to play in. It's awesome to have fans come in and be like, that was so exciting. I had no idea what was going on, but it was amazing. So, but
And yeah, no. Everyone picks their poison, right? There's, I guess, in long story short, there's no, I guess, right way to play, but there are preferred ways to play, I guess, to say the least. And other teams are going to be more successful at certain ways, and it's
yeah.
just kind of where you fit in that scheme, I guess, kind of makes sense with that.
Yeah, it's difficult because it all depends on refereeing at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah.
If the ref wants to play it faster, he can play it faster. If they want to slow it down, they could slow it down. It's completely in the
good
referee
thing.
hands. So
Yeah, it's a good thing they're so consistent in this league too.
yeah, I don't know.
Stop it, Maddie.
It takes a full half. Just you come in at halftime and you're like, all right, the ref is refing it this way instead of this way, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
like every ref is different. Don't even get me started on touchies. Those guys are, man, yeah,
Yeah.
useless. But
Um, I guess then to put a bow on the 2025 year, I got to ask you a question. You have a lot of friends on this team.
mm,
They do it once again. The New England Free Jacks three-peat. I mean, for a guy that has been competing against the Free Jacks since day one, since you've been in this league, I mean, what makes this team so dang good and why do they keep winning? I think that's the question a lot of people have.
mm.
We were included in that group where we're like, we're doubters. Like, they can't do it again. There's no way they do it again. And then there they go and get it done. For a guy that's played against them, seen them since you've been in this league, I mean, what can you say about this Free Jack squad?
Yeah, they know how to win. They know how to, like, they play a style that the league, not to bring up refing again, but they play to the refs quite a bit. They're very good at that. Like they're very good at cheating, and you need to kind of touch that. And I also think the entire organization, like top down, you need to have everybody on board. All the players are great people. I have no bad words to say about any of those players. The coaches, I'm sure, are fantastic. I know the management, the organization are all on board. Everyone's pulling in the same direction. So from top down, organization down, the owner down, everybody is just they have a culture of winning.
Yeah.
Which you look at successful teams in any sport,
Mm,
those teams win championships. It's not a good team, it's a good team, coaches, organization, like everybody.
yeah, yeah. No, I
They've
feel
got
like
it,
that's like yeah,
they've
that's
got it
the
right with the location. It's very
mm,
Yeah.
sustainable. They're down in Fort Quincy. Like the fans are a part of it too. The fans have a huge influence. Like everybody in and around the Free Jacks is, contributing to them winning.
yeah. I mean, we met a handful of them. Traveled obviously great
Mhm.
to Pawtucket, and we got to meet a handful of them when we went to Rhode Island to get our first taste of a final, an MLR final. And yeah, they travel pretty well, and to call them passionate to say the least is definitely one way to describe them. But I think that's the consistent answer that. The guys that on the team, obviously you're friends with Q, that he said as a guy that's been in it, and then just people around the league that kind of have an outside perspective playing against them. It's been a pretty consistent answer every single time we ask that question. It's kind of the same thing. Now,
Yeah.
I guess to talk about, that organizational stability and I guess teams sticking around, New England is the epitome of that, but it does feel like, few weeks after the season goes by, the Free Jacks are crowned your back to back to back champions. It seems like, okay, the league's in a good place. Had really good competition. We'll see where it goes from here. And fans are just hit with bombshell news after bombshell news after bombshell news. Starts with NOLA. You get the RFCLA, San Diego Legion merger happening, and then most recently, obviously, just confirmed last week that the Miami Sharks are not going to no longer going to be part of the MLR. Before we get your reaction to kind of the overview of all of that's happened, as an RFCLA player, this past season, can you explain to me kind of as a player what went down to your knowledge? How were you kind of notified about this situation, and at least as far as you can take us behind the scenes, how did this merger come about in a sense of what you guys were aware of?
Yeah, I mean, it's such a funny league to be in because the rumor mill is just nonstop. You hear so many different things throughout the year, and then like you said, the season ends, and then the rumor mill churns even harder. Where okay, who's going down this year? Who's pulling out? Um, yeah, I mean, I heard. I try not to think about it. I've been part of I was with New York when they folded. I have seen a lot of teams fold, and unfortunately that's kind of the state of a startup league. Is teams are going to go down and the structure is going to move. But in terms of um players being notified, we as soon as things were confirmed, we had a call with. I heard rumors beforehand. Obviously when those talks start happening, it leaks, so you hear about it, but you try not to think about it. But yeah, as soon as it was confirmed, we got word from our ownership group and our executive group, and they told us kind of how it went down and what that structure is like. And I think everyone's still trying to figure it out. They're still trying to figure out the league structure, and I don't know if it's over, if there's going to be more teams dropping out, or what the
Mm.
go is. I have no idea. I think you just kind of got to be on your toes. It's a startup environment, so you got to be on your toes and be agile. And yeah, it's a tough place to be in, but it's what you sign up for in this league, unfortunately.
Yeah. Were there any, I guess, information or conversation specifically to you guys about like what, because I think this is the first time that we're seeing a merger, I guess, of two teams.
Hmm.
Like, was there any conversation specific to that where they're like, yeah, this is what's happening. This is how the merger is going to be. This is what the impacts of this merger are versus just your conversations in the past that you've experienced with New York, where it was just we're folding.
Well, the thing with this league is the contracts aren't worth the paper they're written on. So that's why, they're getting the Players Association going. If I sign a 3-year contract somewhere, the team can turn around and rip it in half, and there's no
Hmm.
repercussions, there's no nothing. So essentially you're signing 1 year at a time.
Right.
Um, so in terms of a merger, I don't know. Yeah, it's tough to kind of say where their heads at, but yeah,
Do you think, like, based on their, I know this is a hard conversation to have, but based on their announcement, like according to their press release, they say it's always been about kind of, attracting new fans, making sure the product on the field is at the top peak, and I think a big emphasis that this league, and a lot of teams have obviously really emphasized has been like the development of grassroots programs in those areas that they're trying to help out, right? So
Yeah.
I guess that's maybe where their positioning is, like this would be a stronger body to kind of develop rugby in California. And I know that through their announcement, like they said that they're going to have games in LA and Orange County and San Diego and kind of move around. Like, do you see that being effective? And like, is that true? I guess, is that a true statement? Is like at the crux of it. And you may not know the answer to that, but you know what I mean? Like you're gonna get these executive type answers, you know what I mean? And I don't know how much, like, what it's worth in terms of them coming out with this. Like, is that something that you're buying?
Um, well, I have no idea what they're gonna do. They've said, yeah, it's gonna be split between LA, San Diego, Orange County, and potentially, Northern California. I don't personally agree with that's how you grow a team.
Mhm.
If you look at the best teams and the ones that are most consistent, you look at the Free Jacks, Seattle, Utah. Um, these teams have been around a while. They're in small stadiums. They really grow the game in their little areas and really get like a good culture going in that small sort of area and then grow a bit more sustainably. I think the issue with this league is, maybe they grew a bit too big too quickly. A lot of money came pouring in post COVID, and a lot of new teams. The buy-in went way up, and I don't think the league like organization, the commissioner, and all the people who are running it really like I don't think they're the best. I think they kind of need to look at themselves and be like, hey, we're not really growing this too sustainably. And we need to have some bit more restraints on that. And hopefully the Players Association can kind of rein them in. But I think the way to grow it is you start small and you build it sustainably
Yeah.
instead of trying to go into all these massive stadiums, and it's not
And
working. So we got to
and
try
I
something.
do I do want to preface it for those of you who are listening, and I know people are going to get like clickbaity and like say, oh, like that, like we said this, Co said that. I think what has to be underlying is that to start a league, a sports league, especially in a niche sport like rugby, is very difficult to do, right?
Mhm.
Like I don't think we've cracked the answer of what the correct way to go about doing it is, right? So I don't want to undermine kind of like the difficulty or the challenges of kind of trying to compete with the footballs and the basketballs and the hockeys and the baseballs, obviously. But again, I think that's where, to your point, Co, like those decisions to do certain things are even more hyper emphasized because if you do make a wrong decision here and there, it's going to be that much more detrimental because you're kind of living on a thread in terms of keeping, a league like this alive, moving forward. So I guess the last point I want to ask on this though, Co, is that a feeling that players generally have every offseason? Like this is as fans, and we've talked about it like with Maddie, like every off season it's like okay, like we feel like we can kind of like take a breath, and then all of a sudden there's a like an
Joke's on
announcement
you.
that comes out, and this is the third year that we've had to deal with this, right? and
Yeah.
and now it just feels like okay, like Maddie mentioned it funnily like last episode where it's just like
It wasn't a joke. Wasn't a joke.
it's
I
just like
said we're setting the bar low. We're our expectations have been brought down. If I set my expectations low, I can't be disappointed.
but is that a same feeling with players? Like are you guys holding your breath once the season finishes and be like okay, what are we doing now?
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny all the new guys in the league. Like I've been around a couple years now, and then you have all the new guys who come in and they get really worried. They're like, "What's happening? Like, what's going to go on? Like, I'm hearing all these rumors. What's happening?" It's like, buckle up, buddy. Like, no one has any idea. This is a part of the league. Like, no one knows what's going on. No one knows what's happening. It's just a part of the league at this point. Like, you know, I don't, hopefully nothing else is happening. I have no idea. Maybe some more stuff happens, but hopefully that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And then next year, off season, we run it back and see who's still around.
Yeah. It's like that. We're not a meme show, but it's like that meme. I mean, the minute you said that story about the new guys coming in, I just thought about that one with James Franco in that movie. I forgot what movie it is, but they're both on the chopping block and he turns to the guy with like
Yeah.
the rope around his neck saying, "First time, buddy."
First
It's
time.
like
Yeah.
first time. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I guess that leads in perfectly to your overall thoughts. So you have this merger, obviously, that we just talked about in depth. You have the folding of NOLA. I don't want to say folding, but to them, I'll keep it what they say. They
Mm.
are not participating in 2026, leaving the window open that, okay, maybe they come back. I'm not optimistic, but
Yeah.
that's what they say. And the same thing with
Barrel said
Miami.
too.
So
Yeah.
knowing all of this that's happened, we're down now back down to 8 teams, which personally, to your point about growing fast, I do think 8 teams is almost like the perfect number. And there's a reason why we keep on hovering around this 8 team number. But with that being said, what is your overall thoughts about the future of this league? Are you concerned as a player about the future of North American professional rugby? You see this again, you've been a part of it. I mean, I feel like you're the perfect guy to ask about this question. Like, what is your prospect on the future of professional rugby in North America?
Yeah, I don't think it's going away. I think the MLR will be here for the considerable future. I think, and this is just my own opinion. I've no like no one's I don't know anything that I don't know. But I think it's gonna take a step back, maybe a couple steps back. We need to reevaluate. Are people being paid too much money? I can see it kind of taking a step back into being kind of a semi-pro team, where you get local guys and the best local guys. Um, they work a job on the side and they work rugby, and then that'll take the level down quite a bit. But that's a better sustainable way forward, and then you can kind of build it up, but you need to shrink it a little before we're able to um, grow it back up again.
I think a lot of people have the men's World Cup that's being hosted here on home soil as kind of
North Star.
the North Star and the deadline for this. Do you see it in that same way where like you say considerable future and obviously they're hosting it in 2031. Is there a like point that the MLR needs to reach by then? Because I know there's a lot of like funds funneling into this and the emphasis of trying to keep rugby alive here in North America because of that World Cup. Is it like if the MLR isn't at this point by 2031, then after that it may seem a little bit grim? Or do you think that, hey, like this is something that can stick around even after that?
I think it'll stick around after that as well. I'm sure World Rugby is pissed right now because they're pouring money into
Yeah.
Anthem. They give USA Rugby and Anthem so much money. They pay guys amazing over there. Um,
They still stink.
and yeah, and I think that yeah, they wouldn't be too happy, especially the Canadian boys beating the US.
Mm,
Can I
we'll talk
swear?
about that. Yeah.
Let's go. That's
Yeah.
Yeah.
huge. That's huge for Canadian rugby, and I'm sure that's a dagger for US rugby. But yeah, I think there doesn't need to be a point that it gets to. I think it just needs to make it to 2031, and then have people fired up
Yeah.
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 for rugby, and then they can all go out to the MLR teams, whatever teams are around in 2031. It just needs to make it to 2031 is the standard, I think.
All right. Well, let's get out of the doom and gloom of this
Yeah.
league and let's talk
Mm,
about that Canada USA game. I decided to put on
man.
the Canadian threads. I
Let's
know
go. I
I know
saw
we're
that.
an American-based show, but we're throwing it back all the way back to the Cougar days.
Mm,
And we are going to talk about that match. Obviously, our American listeners, which I don't know, Maddie, what you would put it at 50-50. I feel like we have more American listeners than Canadian listeners.
I know they're
So
down bad
obviously
though.
the American side of this listening will not be as happy. But I mean, talk about a game, first of all. You could feel the tension and the angst leading up to this one. Like even when we talked to Callum Botcher about kind of he was in the midst of training camp and getting ready for that in Calgary, and you could feel that there was a lot riding on this one.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the expectation on the US side was they've been kind of on the up and to the right, and they've been, kind of growing. In Canada, I think a lot of Canadian fans, the sentiment has been,
They sucked.
okay, that shortly put, but they come out with this performance and beat USA on home soil 34-20, putting themselves in a fantastic spot to qualify for the 27 World Cup in Australia. I believe, according to Brian Ray, if they can escape with a 4-try bonus point or a losing bonus point, they've solidified their spot into the World Cup, I believe. You as a Canadian, the guy that has rep the colors and obviously roots for these boys, knows a lot of the boys on this team.
Yeah.
You got to be feeling pretty good. And what's your kind of feeling when that victory happened and the state of rugby in Canada?
Oh, it was. I mean, I feel like throughout the whole game, there was a feeling that something was different, and like we got this, we can do this, like this is gonna happen. Um, yeah, pumped. Like I can't. I don't know if there's any other way to put it. Like just absolutely pumped. I think missing out on 23 was just a really big dagger for, I mean, both the US and Canada, but just seeing how, and I've been a part of it, how rugby in Canada has been the past couple of years on the men's side. Um, yeah, this hopefully reinvigorates something in the grassroots to just bring the men's team back into the forefront. And hopefully, I don't know, I mean, World Rugby's pouring pretty much a blank check to USA Rugby to qualify. Maybe they start looking north of the border after that result of, maybe we fund an MLR team in Canada. I don't know, but that would be sick. That'd be
Vancouver?
I think there's I think there's a lot of people that do miss the Arrows, of course, and I think anywhere in Canada there's been always sentiment about that. What changed? Like what in your, obviously you're outside looking in on this one, but like in your opinion, what changed from 23 and like kind of the feeling that we've had over the course of several years? I remember conversations I've had with you about kind of the state of Rugby Canada, and then what you said felt different, but like can you describe what was different in this match particularly?
I think they just really wanted it. They played like underdogs. They played like Rugby Canada should be playing. We are underdogs. We are, often, even the fans, like Rugby Canada fans despise the men's 15s team and the men's sevens team as well. So it's literally just the guys in the room kind of against the world. And they played like that and they showed up. Having our John's obviously a massive help. And, Olmstead was back. There was just like I was the outsider looking in. There was a sense of belief that I think has been lacking in recent years. And just to see them play like that is goosebumps. Yeah. I'm fired up. I am fired up.
And I mean, and it's also
yeah. You could tell as soon as they won, they were just ecstatic. I'm sure it was a hell of a night out at Cowboys or wherever they went. But, oh man, I'm pumped for those guys. For the younger, I've done a World Cup. For the younger guys to be able to go is massive. Like, oh
yeah. And I like, as just a fan, I can't remember. I feel like it's been so long since you've actually been able to be proud to be a Rugby Canada fan, or like just proud to support that country or be part of that, from like part of that adjacent to the organization. Like I feel like there was it's been a while since I've looked at the score, watched the game, been like, wow, like I'm actually proud to be kind of within this group of niche people that are supporting Rugby Canada. So it was awesome. And also on the backs of not having you, not having Quatrin, not having Brock Webster, like these are three key guys to the Rugby Canada program in the past few years that are just that even to do it without them and have some young guys step up, it's pretty surreal to see.
And
Yeah.
I guess an old guy too stepping up too. I mean, how good's Tyler Ardron? 4 tries? Are you kidding me? Like this guy. And when it comes to epitomizing what Rugby Canada is about, like you've met him, you've played with him. I want to say,
Mm,
is
he's the man.
what's he?
Like,
Yeah,
There are some Rugby Canada greats, and he will definitely be going down
I think that
as
game
one of them.
just completely solidified him as just an absolute legend. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah,
it's
incredible.
freaking, yeah, a Hall of Famer. Like, yeah, but I mean, like you said, Maddie, to be able to have pride to support the team
Hmm.
is huge. But to pivot, the women have been doing that all along.
True.
And I'm so fired up to watch the women try and win a World Cup because they can
Yep.
legitimately do it.
Yeah.
So,
To
Yeah.
wrap up the men's side of things, Canada jumping up to the 24th spot in the world, ahead of Zimbabwe.
Let's go.
US fallen 2 spots, now behind both Uruguay and Tonga. So, yeah, it's interesting there on kind of how what that match described. Now, on the women's side of things, got to mention that because I think got to give props. I think first of all, I know American fans not happy to hear about the Canadian side of things, but I mean that U.S. England match on Friday, setting the world record for most, I think, fans at a women's Rugby World Cup game. I want to bring up the numbers. I believe it was 42,000 people, over
They could have just
42,000
kept it.
people there. It's pretty incredible. But obviously, Canada is also highlighting that side of things. Big game against Fiji that they absolutely dominated. Um,
Julia Shell just
Fastest try ever
putting the
in women's rugby.
back.
for I guess for you, Ko, a message that you have for people. Maddie, I think, is quoted last show as that he's never watched a women's rugby game in his life.
I didn't quote that.
So for people
It's
like
true though.
Maddie that don't pay the respect to this game and the biggest tournament in the women's game right now happening, like what's your message to people to tune in to watch some of these matches?
I mean, it's as a Canadian, how can you not? This is something that you can bring the entire country together and do something that no other Canadian team has done in rugby.
Yeah.
So to be able to, who knows what happens, but they've got a legitimate shot to be the number one team and win a World Cup. But
Yeah.
like
And
sport aside, that's so huge so get behind the girls. They are killing it. And I'm so excited for the next couple of weeks to see how it all shakes out.
when in rugby do you ever have Canada genuinely being an odds on one of the among the favorites to be winners and to be holding the cup at the end? So yeah, agree. That's crazy. Although I did need the US women to just cover a 53 and a half spread.
This guy,
It was like
Ko,
53 and a half. Come on.
we got
Come
to pull
on.
up
It
the
was
tapes.
14-7, 60 minutes, like 40. What is it? 50 minutes left in the game. It was 14-7. And you let them put up another 50 points. Come
We
on now.
so we had
Come on.
we had a group chat going.
They just
Um
needed one more.
Last episode, Co, you can pull up the receipts. Maddie has never been more confident in a
I
betting
felt good
pick
about
in
this
his
one.
life. He said, screw all the other picks that I just told you about
I
with
said,
NPC Bunnings and things like that. He's like 53 and a half point spread. Smash that. Me and Vandy are running to our phones to pop it. I think Vandy was gonna
I
put like
never
a
saw a
hundred.
spread that high. I was like, there's
Um,
no way.
and I think the icing on top was when, yeah, Maddie, when you texted us, you're like, oh, it's like what? What was it at half?
14-7, 30
14 to
minutes
7 and a
in.
half. We're like, okay, yeah,
You
we're
got it.
good. 69-7 final. So either way,
You know
highest.
what was worse? You know what was worse, Ryan?
Yeah.
The try that England got, I think it was their last try that actually put it over the spread edge, was the nicest, like was a sweet end to
I think I
end
did see the
try.
highlight on that. I did see
So
that.
like whatever. I guess we lost it to that, but like, hey, it is what it is. But seriously, just
Vegas knows
My
something.
my concern with this is the women are amazing right now, but England has a pro league for women. The
yeah,
New Zealand has a pro league for women. This is similar to the Canada men's team 30 years ago when pro rugby first started coming up. Like we've got to match that if we want to stay up there. So
Yeah.
But I'd say the percentage of Canadian women's in the women's leagues overseas, specifically England, pretty high in comparison when you think about it.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, we gotta try and match that here to kind of stay up there, you know.
All right. Well, hey, some good rugby coming up, that's for sure. When it comes to the women's side of things, and of course PNC, keep following tune in that. Some big things happening. Coe, before we let you go, the moment you've been waiting for. Let's get to some fantasy rankings. The $1 million question that we always ask all of our guests.
Before you say that, I can see your screen, so.
You can see my screen, but I knew because I remember last time you got me good when you did that. So I made sure to hide your ranking. You better not have the fantasyruckers.com pulled up. So I hope you don't. If you guess this on the head, I'm going to be. There's some next level stuff going on. But Coe, I'll ask you. Where do you think you finished? I'll give you. You have to give me 2 rankings. Give me where you think you finished in the entire league from a fantasy point scoring, and. Give me where you finished amongst other back 3 players. If you want it, I will say it is a little bit of a cop out, but I will give you the fantasy point totals you scored this year if you think that would help.
I don't think that would help.
Okay. Well, I'll say this. You got 129 and a half.
129 and a half. Okay. I think fantasy wise, I don't think I did as well as last year. So I think I'm behind from last year.
I'll give you one other tool. I'll let you ask the fantasy points of one other player to gauge where you are compared to that person.
Who would I be around, I think? Like
you gotta choose a guy you think would be at the top so that you can then work your way down.
I was trying to pick someone who I think I would be around. I think maybe give me Noah Brown. Where is he at? I think he had a pretty good season, and I think I'd be somewhere around where he's at.
Noah Brown, 103.3 fantasy points.
And I'm
not going to tell you where he's at. I'm not that'd give it too much away. That'd be cheating.
I don't know. Could I be tall? 25.
No way. No way. Stop. Do you have it?
No, you're fucking with me.
You got 25. You're overall.
No, I didn't.
No joke. Yeah, you did. Right on the head. There's no way.
There's no way.
Can you see my screen?
You're messing with me now.
No, I'm dead serious.
There's no way.
25.
There's no way.
24 was Corey Daniel at 129.8.
Yeah.
26 was Ethan Grayson at 128.3. You're smack dab in the middle at 25.
I guess that.
That is crazy because you cheated last time.
I don't think you cheated, Ryan. You cheated.
I don't think you cheated this time.
I did not cheat this time. That is insane that I got that.
That's crazy. That's great. 25 overall. You are right. Then I'll round it out. Where do you think you finished among all back 3 players?
That would probably be 6.
All right, a little bit high there, buddy. But back 3-9. Back 3-9.
No.
Pretty good.
Sorry.
Top 10.
I got too
Top
confident
10.
with me.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Just behind Nick Ben at 144.3. I will say there was a little bit of a tier break between you and Nick Ben when it came to this past season. But it's all good. And then again, just ahead of Ethan Grayson. Who was the number 1 back 3, or I would say, I guess I gave it away. Back 3. It was a back 3 player who got first overall. Who is number 1 in all of fantasy?
It's gotta be either Joe Mano or Paula. Give me Joe Mano. I think he scored a bunch this year.
Yeah. 187.2 fantasy points.
Yeah, he had an
incredible
year.
Jonah Moe on NOLA was actually the second highest and the highest forward at 184.2. So he had an electric season too. Top 5.
Where'd Butch end up? Butch is always up there.
He usually is. Was not as high.
We nerfed the front row. We nerfed them.
We did, I think, yeah. He finishes off behind Shiloh Klein and Liam Coltman as the third best front row player. 100.8 fantasy points. So
That's
yeah, Liam Coltman was like crazy this past
you
season.
know he's a good player when he's it's an off year and he's come third in front row.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Right. Right. To round it out, Devon Rousseau was third, Duncan Matthews fourth, Brad Wilkin fifth. So that's our top five in fantasy this past season.
Who was four?
I
Say that again.
Duncan Matthews.
Oh yeah, he's electric too.
So, and your boy Billy Meeks finished seventh. Paula Balacana was sixth. So,
Was he two for the back three?
Billy Meeks?
No, Paula.
No, he
behind
was.
Oh, Duncan. Yeah, Duncan.
Yeah, third. So, yeah, man. But hey, not too bad. 25 on the nose.
25 on the
and
nose.
you're
Let's
learning
go.
here. You're learning here. I hear there's some interest in fantasy MLR, so you're doing some early research. Maybe teasing a little bit ahead, a little bit here.
Exactly.
But yeah, no, it was an electric season. 4 spots away from my top five, Coe. Come on, you couldn't have added a try or two more to get in there, and would have been nice, not making me look as bad. But
Yeah. I'll talk to Gonzo. Maybe he'll.
There you go. I guess that's all I got for you, Coe. I appreciate the insight, man. Again, it's always good to have you on the show. I think what we've always carried ourselves on with this is just trying to get perspectives of the players, and you've been one of those guys since day one to give that to us. So we appreciate the time. Obviously, we all go way back, so it's always good to catch up with you as well. Good old Bill Crothers days. I did swing by there, by the way, not too long ago.
Did you?
It's still keeping up. Yeah, didn't say hi to anyone, but just kind of drove through the driveway and checked out their new scoreboard, which would have been nice if they had it when we were around. But
Yeah,
they
for sure.
you know. But yeah, still looks same old. Good old Bill Crothers days.
That's nice. That's really good. Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. It's always fun coming on and chatting rugby for a bit.
Yeah, always a blast, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, Coe.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
All right, thanks to Andrew Coe, of course, a longtime friend and now friend of the Fantasy Ruckers show, for joining us to chat a little bit about everything that's going on in MLR. Maddie, biggest takeaway from talking with our old friend Andrew Coe?
I think just his outlook on, not necessarily a negative outlook on the MLR. I think he's very clear that the MLR is here to stay and that it's going to continue. I think just the idea that he's also, like, as somebody who's part of the league, getting that player's perspective of like, it's just become normal for him, right? Like every time, every off season, every season, he's gotten used to that rumor mill that he's talking about. He's gotten used to that idea of like, hey, are we up next? Is it us next? Are we going to be playing next year? Just that idea of how, I don't think fragile is the right word, but how volatile this league could be, and just how you kind of just have to accept the nature of it. I think it backs a lot of that conversation that we had in the past couple of weeks, that like, look, we just have to accept that this is how it is. We should expect it every offseason, and that there are ways that the league can potentially, limit that from happening as much.
Yeah,
or limit the volatility.
I think that was the biggest takeaway for me, is that I think what's interesting is the perspective from the player. I should get the sentiment from the player, although they do obviously have an inside look into it and obviously a little bit more knowledge than us fans do. That sentiment is kind of merging together in terms of, we dealt with this for so long as fans, and obviously them as players, obviously varying, like he mentioned, like when rookies come to the league versus he's been obviously in this league for a long time, and we've been watching this league for a long time. The sentiment and our outlook of this league and what happens during the offseason, I think, is getting a little bit diluted, and we're just trying to kind of survive and make through it. So it makes sense. All right, last segment of the show, let's talk about it. Maddie, you said it earlier, you want to talk a little bit of rugby championship. I'll give you the mic. Despite your faltering of last year's lines, or last week's lines, I should say, in our TFR Betting Challenge.
TFR Betting Challenge.
Time for our TFR Betting Challenge, Maddie. 1 week ago, you were on this episode or on this show talking about a line that you could not pass up in a 53.5 line between England and the USA in the Women's Rugby World Cup.
I didn't put any money down. I don't regret it.
Unfortunately, myself and Vandy did, and we paid the price.
But look, it is what it is. Yeah, it's a new week,
new bets, New
And
picks.
we honestly should have done this last week. We missed the rugby championship. I apologize. I think Argentina, if we pulled this up, Argentina versus New Zealand would have been one that I would have looked at for sure, depending on the spread. But now we got, well, we'll skip the NBC Bunnies Cup. There's some crazy things happening in that league, but we will skip that.
I will say, I just want to mention quickly, Maddie, Tasman is now the favorite.
Yep. Wellington lost, who's not doing well this year. I believe Taranaki lost.
So I'll give it to you. You did say last week, hop on Tasman, that futures bet. And if you listen, you'd be getting pretty good odds last week.
Yeah, Tasman's looking good for sure. But we'll give that a rest. We got 2 big games this weekend in the Rugby Championship, along with all the Rugby World Cup games. Because remember, Coe said we got to watch it.
We got to watch it. The spreads are not out yet, Maddie.
Okay.
As of the recording of this podcast. So what we'll start off with before we get into Maddie's betting lines, give me who you think the favorite is.
Of each match?
No, to win the rugby championship.
Oh, it's the All Blacks right now.
At minus 185.
Yep.
Do you find any value in any other teams? You got South Africa at plus 225.
Yeah,
Australia.
South Africa is where the value is.
Okay.
I would
say plus 700 for Australia and plus 2200 for Argentina. 2
big odds there. I don't think they're going to do it. I think there's definitely a toss up between South Africa and New Zealand. We will see what happens over the next couple weeks as South Africa is touring New Zealand. So
let me mention 2 games Maddie's going to talk about here. You got New Zealand hosting South Africa, and you got Australia taking on Argentina at home. So, Matt, which game do you want to start off with, and which one? What's the spread that you're thinking here that people should hit if it is in range?
Yeah, so I like Australia, Argentina. I think Argentina for me is like a bettor's dream because just they will always be underdogs in these types of games. And once the spread gets to a certain level, like it's almost like for the MLR fans when Anthem was competitive last year, it was almost like that they might be able to hit that spread. It's kind of similar, except Argentina's obviously they actually win. So like Argentina here, I think Australia is going to be favored. I think Argentina will be underdogs, obviously, and I think anything over 7, I would hit for sure.
Okay.
Anything over 7 and like 6.5, I would say I would hit for sure.
Okay. When it comes to now,
I think the New Zealand South Africa one's going to be too close. Like, I don't think you're going to get as much value. I think the All Blacks are going to be favorites because they're at home. South Africa are going to be the dogs. I think they'll be dogs by like 2.5, maybe 4.5.
If any way you're taking that with South Africa to possibly win that.
I mean, honestly, I would. Where are they playing? They're in Auckland.
Eden Park.
Oh, that's a fortress. Yeah, no, I would. No, I wouldn't.
Okay.
I wouldn't touch that one. I would look at Argentina. I would see just what the spread is for them to be underdogs, and I would definitely look at them
more
covering.
than a try is what you're saying.
Anything more than a try, I would take.
Okay. All right. Well, there is Matthew. Let's see if he can redeem himself in the episode 166 of the TFR Betting Challenge. All right, Matty. Blake, fantastic episode. Again, appreciate Andrew Coe hopping on. Always provides us with good insight. And we'll continue to bring those great player interviews plus everything else that we can offer for our listeners and viewers here to give them a little bit more information and player perspective into the league as we continue to trudge this thing that has been a pretty chaotic offseason. Matty, anything left you have to say to the people?
Just keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on. All right. For Matt Yee, for Devin Vandy Vanderpool, I am Ryan Yee. We'll be back next week with another episode of the Fantasy Ruckers Show.
First time.
You've been listening to the Fantasy Ruckers Show, bringing fantasy rugby to the masses, covering everything rugby from the MLR and beyond. We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review, and be sure to tell all your friends. We'll be back soon, but in the meantime, connect with us on social media at the Fantasy Ruckers. Till next time, this is the Fantasy Ruckers Show, signing off.